Welcome back to The Basement. I'm Steve Lewis. This week, we wrap up our look at the second quarter of 1965 with news, television, movies, and what the Beach Boys were up to. Let's begin with a look at some notable news in the months of April, May, and June. As discussed back in episode 166, U.S. Pop Culture 1964 Part 2, Cassius Clay won the heavyweight title from champ Sonny Liston on February 25, 1964 by a technical knockout after the sixth round. Liston had been favored to win the fight, and many thought he would reclaim the title in a rematch on May 25, 1965. Though Clay converted to Islam and changed his name to Muhammad Ali in 1964, he was still being billed as Cassius Clay for the rematch. Instead of reclaiming the title, Liston is knocked out 1 minute and 44 seconds into the first round. Liston had never been knocked out before, and as it happened, because of the way the fighters were moving and the camera angle, the punch that took him out isn't visible to the audience watching the closed-circuit TV broadcast. To many, it looks as if Liston had just laid down. Fight fans are outraged and believe Liston took a dive for some kind of crooked payout. The FBI will investigate, and a Senate subcommittee will hold hearings, eventually concluding that there was no evidence that the fight was fixed. On June 3rd, astronaut Ed White, traveling aboard Gemini 4, becomes the first American to do a spacewalk, spending 36 minutes outside the spacecraft. Turning to new movie releases in the second quarter, released on April 7th is Girl Happy, a new Elvis movie with some beach party overtones. Going into wide release on April 9th is The Greatest Story Ever Told. After its premiere on February 15th, the running time had been cut from 3 hours and 45 minutes to 3 hours and 18 minutes, but it's still a long slog. It'll be such a box office flop that it will reputedly be single-handedly responsible for the end of biblical epics from Hollywood. On April 14th comes Beach Blanket Bingo. It's AIP's fifth and possibly greatest beach party movie. Of course, it stars Frankie and Annette, the Beach Party Gang, Eric Von Zipper and his Rats, and an assortment of guest stars. Rod Steiger in Sidney Lumet's critically acclaimed drama The Pawnbroker opens in the U.S. on April 20th. It had premiered in West Germany back on July 2nd, 1964. It's notable as the first movie approved by the U.S. Production Code containing nudity, a topless woman. On May 12th comes The Girls on the Beach, a non-AIP beach party movie just in time for the summer drive-in season. Of course, it notably features the Beach Boys along with Leslie Gore and briefly the Crickets. With pop music and motion pictures moving on very different production schedules, the three songs the Beach Boys are shown performing are practically oldies already. The Girls on the Beach, which plays over the opening credits, and Little Honda had first been released on the All Summer Long album about 10 months earlier. And Brian's showcase, The Lonely Sea, went back more than 2 years to the Surfin' USA album. Of course, it's great to see the Beach Boys in full color and on the big screen, even if it's been a little delayed, and future generations will definitely be happy to have those clips. We talked about the movie extensively in episode 93, The Girls on the Beach. You can check it out in more detail there. Also released on May 12th is Harlow, starring Carol Lindley. It's based on the life of 30s film star Jean Harlow, from producers Bill Sargent and Lee Savin. Like their last film, The Tammy Show from last year, it's in electronovision, that is, filmed with television cameras. Paramount Studios, producers of another Harlow movie due to be released in a few weeks, are not amused and take out newspaper ads in key cities that begin, "Let there be no confusion," and claiming it's an inferior production. The makers of the electronovision version will sue Paramount. Paramount will countersue. The Harlow movie loses money and the lawsuit is costly. Electronovision Inc. will go out of business just 2 months after Harlow premieres. Released on May 13th is The Yellow Rolls Royce, a British drama with an all-star cast that will actually unseat The Sound of Music from #1 at the box office for 2 weeks beginning June 23rd. On June 2nd comes What's New Pussycat, a modern comedy with a large cast starring Peter O'Toole and Peter Sellers, with the film's screenwriter Woody Allen in his first film role. Almost inexplicably, it'll be one of the biggest box office hits of the year and will spend 2 weeks at #1 beginning July 7th. It's one of the first in a breed of big screen comedies with arch acting, lots of sexual innuendo, lots of color, a slight counterculture vibe, and a surreal and largely incoherent plot. Many of them will star Peter Sellers. For some reason, movies like these will be hugely popular in the mid and late 60s. On June 3rd comes another major box office hit, James Stewart in the Civil War era western Shenandoah. On June 16th is the U.S. premiere of the wild period comedy Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines. Paramount's version of Harlow, starring Carol Baker, is released on June 23rd. Also released on June 23rd is Von Ryan's Express, a World War II drama starring Frank Sinatra and Trevor Howard. It'll be one of the year's biggest box office hits. The Western comedy Cat Ballou opens in wide release on June 24th. Lee Marvin's performance will win him both a Golden Globe and an Oscar for Best Actor. The UK production The Knack and How to Get It, an adult comedy directed by Richard Lester, opens in the US on June 29th. On June 30th, just in time for drive-in season, comes AIP's Ski Party, moving Frankie Avalon, Dwayne Hickman, and many of the Beach Party gang to the ski slopes to mix things up a little. Leslie Gore and, memorably, James Brown and the Famous Flames turn up too. And on June 30th, we started the quarter with an Elvis movie, and we'll end it with yet another Elvis movie, Tickle Me. It too is probably timed with the drive-in season in mind. And new on television, Where the Action Is, a half-hour daytime music show for teenagers, premieres on ABC on Monday, June 28th. It's created by American Bandstand's Dick Clark, who does voiceover introductions, and hosted by Steve Alamo and Linda Scott. Featured performers are Paul Revere and the Raiders. Guests on the first show include Dee Dee Sharp and Jan and Dean, who are shown playing beach volleyball while Surf City plays, and participating in that quintessential 1960s beach activity, being buried in the sand, to their new single, You Really Know How to Hurt a Guy. Where the Action Is will run on weekday afternoons until March 1967. Of course, the series is inspired by the success of Shindig. It should be pointed out that there are also many local afternoon dance party shows on TV around the country during this period. Those local shows often feature both local and national celebrities. As the 1964-65 season draws to a close, the top 10 television programs in the U.S. are: at number 1, Bonanza. NBC's Sunday night powerhouse is still going strong, now in its 6th season. At number 2 is a big winner for the perpetually third-place ABC, the new Thursday night series Bewitched. It seems bound to spawn imitators. The number 3 Gomer Pyle USMC is another new show. This one's spun off from the Andy Griffith Show. It's on CBS Friday nights. The 4th place Andy Griffith Show is in its 5th season on CBS Monday nights, following the game shows To Tell the Truth and I've Got a Secret. More good news for ABC this season. The Fugitive, starring David Jansen, is in 5th place. It closes out their Tuesday night lineup after Peyton Place. The Red Skelton Hour is at number 6. He's in his 14th season, Tuesday nights on CBS. The number 7 Dick Van Dyke Show is winding up its 4th season on CBS Wednesday nights following the Beverly Hillbillies. The ever-popular Lucille Ball in The Lucy Show is at number 8. It's on CBS Monday nights following the Andy Griffith Show. And number 9 is another new show and another much-needed ratings winner for ABC, Peyton Place. The nighttime soap opera airs twice weekly on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Rounding out the top 10 is Combat, the hour-long World War II drama starring Vic Morrow and Rick Jason. It's winding up its 3rd season. It kicks off ABC's Tuesday night lineup ahead of McHale's Navy. It's a big change and a big win for ABC. Last season, CBS had 14 of the top 15 shows, with NBC's Bonanza at number 2. This season, ABC has 4 shows in the top 10. And what were the Beach Boys up to in the second quarter? On April 5th, less than a month after being released as an album track on Beach Boys Today, a re-recorded version of Help Me Rhonda with an H added to the spelling of the name is released as a single. Of course, we already discussed this in depth in the Today Part 2 Help Me Rhonda episode a couple of weeks ago. On April 7th, Glenn Campbell lets the band know that he won't be able to stand in for Brian on their upcoming tour due to a commitment to tour with the Righteous Brothers. After a bit of panic about what to do, Mike calls Bruce Johnston, who, Mike later says, he first met at the $1 Million Party shows in Hawaii in July 1964. Bruce joins the band for rehearsal in New Orleans and plays his first show with the group on April 9th at the New Orleans Municipal Auditorium. Bruce will play an additional date with the group before Campbell returns temporarily on April 11th. On April 21st, the Beach Boys, with Brian back in the group, appear on Shindig performing Do You Want to Dance, shortened versions of Fun, 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 Long Tall Texan, and Please Let Me Wonder, and Help Me Rhonda. Though he's no longer touring, Brian will continue joining the group for TV appearances. The Shindig appearance had been recorded on March 29th. According to the usually reliable Beach Boys in Concert, the Beach Boys show in New Haven, Connecticut on May 15th is probably Glenn Campbell's final appearance as a Beach Boy. Bruce Johnston becomes a permanent touring member of the Beach Boys starting in Canton, Ohio on May 19th. Glenn Campbell remains with the tour now as an opening act along with Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. It had been advertised that the Beach Boys would make a return appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show on May 16th. Reportedly, Brian met the group in New York and they rehearsed Help Me Rhonda, which is currently climbing the chart at number 6, and Graduation Day at CBS, only to be told that the show is running long and their appearance will have to be rescheduled. There's no mention of the Beach Boys in the broadcast. As it works out, the Beach Boys won't appear on Ed Sullivan again until 1968. On May 29th, Help Me Rhonda begins a 2-week run at number 1. Guess I'm Dumb by Glenn Campbell, written by Brian Wilson and Russ Titleman and produced by Brian Wilson, is released as a single on Capitol Records on June 7th. The B-side, That's All Right, has no Beach Boy involvement. The backing track for Guess I'm Dumb had been recorded back on October 14th, 1964, prior to most of the work on Beach Boys Today. Brian originally intended it for the Beach Boys. According to I Am Brian Wilson, it took a while to get it right because he was trying something more adult. He continues that he was trying to score a Burt Bacharach vibe, which I think you can definitely hear. Quoting Brian, "When I was finished, no one from the band wanted to sing it. The message was okay, but maybe it was just the idea of being dumb. It's too bad. Not only would it have fit beautifully on side 2 of Beach Boys Today, I'm sure it would have been a highlight of the album." Brian finally offered the track to Glenn Campbell, who, Brian mentions in his memoir, had been singing Brian's parts in concert. Campbell's lead vocal, along with backing vocals by the Honeys, were added on March 8th, the same day Beach Boys Today was released. As much as I would have liked to hear it on Today, Campbell turns in a uniquely beautiful, lonely Roy Orbison-like vocal performance that I really love. It's an outstanding record, one of my favorites. I'm sure most of you know it. If anyone watching isn't familiar with Guess I'm Dumb, it's a track you'll want to know. Unfortunately, in 1965, the single attracts little attention and fails to chart. Glenn Campbell's big commercial breakthrough won't come for another 2.5 years. Hope you enjoyed this. Having reached the halfway point in 1965, I want to take a break for a few weeks. We'll return for pop culture in the second half of the year and an in-depth look at the Summer Days and Summer Nights album. Meanwhile, I look forward to your feedback and comments. As always, please hit like if you don't mind, subscribe if you haven't. Have a great week. Thanks for watching. Bye.